sorry for how things turned out, but I never heard him say that he was sorry for his own actions. Not once did I recall hearing those things.
The murder of 5 children, 11 years of age or younger. Now recommend to the court that be sentenced to death.
They say I am evil and a monster. They're right.
He is the worst of the worst.
This is Anthony Kirkland, a man facing 4 murder charges in Cincinnati, Ohio. Between 2006 and 2009, Kirkland kidnapped, assaulted, and strangled 4 females, including 2 teenage girls, before burning their bodies in an attempt to destroy the evidence. He evaded capture for years, until DNA evidence finally linked him to his last victim, 13-year-old Esme Kenny.
Punched on her. She tried to fight back, but she had fighting a grown man. And he got the best of her and drug her in the woods, raped her, and set her body on fire.
Kirkland insisted he felt remorse, but many in the public remained unconvinced.
I apologize for the happenings.
Sir, are you a monster?
If we've seen any human being born as a monster, something had to make an individual the way that they are. And I think that's what needs to be questioned.
Kirkland carried himself like nothing could break him, cold, silent, emotionless. But the moment the judge mentioned the death penalty, everything
4, aggravated murder.
changed. His hardened persona shattered instantly, and suddenly he tried to look remorseful, a shift many found far too convenient.
They say I am evil and a monster. They're right.
Not only did he admit to the killings, he pleaded for mercy. The same man who moments earlier sat stone-faced and emotionless suddenly crumbled, begging the jury to spare his life.
I could not stop the rage and the anger and make the bad Anthony go away. I do not blame you if you kill me. I don't deserve to live, but please spare my life.
His confession sent chills through the courtroom, but the question remained, would the jury show mercy to a man who showed none to his victims? This is the moment Anthony Kirkland finally learned his fate.
We therefore unanimously find that the sentence of death should be imposed upon Anthony Kirkland, and signed by all 12 jurors, including the foreperson.
Anthony Kirkland received 4 separate death sentences, one for each of his victims.
I've tried 4 serial killers in my life. He is the worst of the worst. And he cannot be killed by the state of Ohio soon enough for.
The public and the victims' families expressed relief and satisfaction with the sentence.
You want to see him die?
Mm-hmm.
Kirkland pleaded for the jury's mercy, but what happens with the next defendant is even more chilling.
This court finds that death is the only appropriate penalty for the defendant.
Smith's demeanor seemed relaxed. He stood and nodded at jurors when introduced, and during breaks he smiled and chatted with his attorney.
This is Donald Smith, charged with battery and first-degree murder in Jacksonville, Florida. The case dates back to 2013, when Rain Periwinkle placed a 911 call from a Walmart parking lot.
I met a man today at Dollar General. He saw that I was struggling to buy them some clothes. He drove us here to buy us some clothes, and the only reason I went with him because he said his wife was going to be here.
57-year-old Donald Smith met the family at a Dollar General, offering to do a good deed using his $100 Walmart gift card to buy clothes for Rain Periwinkle's children.
He said his name is Dawn. He said he was supposed to meet his wife here, and his wife never showed up, and I couldn't figure out why. His wife didn't even show up at Dollar General.
Rain got into Smith's van with her children and headed to Walmart. While her kids shopped, Smith singled out 8-year-old Cherish, offering her food. Trusting him, she went along, and tragically, she was never seen again.
I had this cart full of clothes that he said he was going to pay for with a $100 gift card, and I had a bad feeling. I thought, well, I feel like pinching myself because this is too good to be true. So I got to the checkout. He's not here. He isn't here. Now I'm hoping he's not looking her right now.
Authorities issued an Amber Alert immediately, but hours passed through the night with no leads or clues to Cherish whereabouts.
Hi, we're calling about a suspicious van over here, a white van.
A witness came forward, reporting a suspicious van parked in the back of a church parking lot that very morning.
All right, and you said it's now gone?
Yes, ma'am.
But you think he may have, just in case, he might have dumped something?
Right, we don't know, but just in case, it looked suspicious because it was all the way to the back.
When police arrived at the scene, they discovered Cherish's body, showing clear signs of assault and strangulation. Just hours later, Smith was spotted driving down the highway and apprehended.
Step out of the vehicle. Face away from us. Keep your hands in the air. Stop.
Smith was arrested, but unsurprisingly, he insisted the authorities had the wrong person. Soon enough, he opened up. He confessed to kidnapping and assaulting Cherish, but what he revealed next sent shivers through everyone in the courtroom. Smith admitted to his horrifying urges, but shockingly, he showed no remorse.
Never be able to work through all this. Never. I'll never be okay. So rather than spend the rest of my life being humiliated by myself, telling all this crap in my head, I might as well just die with it. Easier to just die with it because I'll probably never get through it anyway. That's what my brain's telling me.
Smith told his attorney he actually preferred the death sentence, but the choice wasn't his to make. The judge had the final word. This is the moment he faced his fate.
The first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. The first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner. Accordingly, this court finds that death is the only appropriate penalty for the defendant, given the highly egregious nature of this crime.
Smith received his sentence with a cold, unsettling calm. But in the next case, Thomas Knauf, the defendant seemed strangely attached to life behind bars.
Never heard him say that he was sorry for his own actions. Not once. I am sentencing the defendant to death.
This is Thomas Knauf, charged with aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping in Parma Heights, Ohio. Shockingly, Knauf hadn't even been out of prison for a month before targeting John and Regina Capabiano, a couple who had corresponded with him while he was incarcerated and had even picked him up on his release day. Concerned friends called for a wellness check after losing contact with the couple, only to discover their lifeless bodies. Knauf was arrested and remained emotionless, claiming no guilt, while the judge in the courtroom displayed enough shock and anger for both the victims and the accused.
Bodies rolled into carpet, maggots. I needed Vicks Vapor Rub to walk through that house on that crime scene. It is unlike something that you couldn't even imagine in a movie. It was really the most disturbing fact pattern.
Knauf's cold lack of remorse would soon come back to haunt him.
Mr. Knauf was sorry for how things turned out, but I never heard him say that he was sorry for his own actions. Not once did I recall hearing those things.
This is the moment he finally faced the full weight of justice.
I am sentencing the defendant as it relates to count 2, the aggravated murder of Regina Capabiano, to death.
Knauf kept his emotions hidden throughout the trial, but that's nothing compared to what happened when the real-life Joker, Wade Wilson, faced the harshest sentence imaginable.
He choked her and ran her over so many times he made her look like spaghetti.
Wade Stephen Wilson be sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder.
Wade Stephen Wilson was sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder. His case shocked Cape Coral, Florida. In 2019, Wilson met 35-year-old Christine Melton at a bar and later went home with her. By morning, he had strangled her in her own bed. He then stole her car and fled, but the nightmare didn't end there. Along the way, he encountered 43-year-old Diane Ruiz walking down the sidewalk.
He told his dad he then picked up a lady, asked for directions, then choked her and ran her over so many times he made her look like spaghetti.
If you thought Wilson would keep running after his second murder, think again. Instead, he walked into a nearby convenience store, confessed his crimes to the cashier on duty, and calmly waited for the police to arrive. At that moment, It seemed he was ready to face the consequences. But once behind bars, a mysterious case of memory loss would soon complicate everything.
Did you kill Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
I'm not a monster. Yeah, I'm not a saint either by any means. I've made bad decisions in the past. Of course.
Wilson entered the courtroom and pleaded not guilty, but the judge wasn't convinced. Every fact, every testimony, painted a picture that left little room for doubt.
And that the second murder was cold, calculated, and premeditated.
This was Wilson's reaction to the sentence. The court declared, the totality of the circumstances warrants that the defendant, Wade Stephen Wilson, be sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder. Wilson remained as emotionless as ever, absorbing the weight of the ultimate punishment. But if Wilson's sentence shocks you, just wait what happens when someone faces 10 separate death sentences.
The totality of the circumstances warrants that the defendant, Wade Stephen Wilson, be sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder.
His own attorneys called him a serial killer and a cannibal. The court had no choice. Therefore, this court sentences you to death. A chilling parallel can be seen in the case of Jason Thornburg.
He is a psychopath. He is evil.
His own attorneys today called him a serial killer and a cannibal.
Facing 3 counts of capital murder in Fort Worth, Texas. On September 22, 2021, police responded to a dumpster fire, and what they found when the flames were extinguished would shock the nation. The dumpster contained the remains of 3 missing persons.
This was shocking, it's unsettling, and we knew.
The fire had destroyed nearly all evidence on the bodies. But investigators weren't finished. Using CCTV footage, police traced the killer's car to a motel in a nearby town, and what they found there on camera was even more disturbing.
Depicted a resident of the motel exiting a room carrying plastic bins with...
His own attorneys called him a serial killer and a cannibal. The court...
3 of my detectives approached Mr. Thornburg and asked him to speak with them. He agreed to come with us voluntarily to our office to speak with us. Once back at our office, Mr. Thornburg participated in a consensual interview with my detectives, during which time Mr. Thornburg admitted his involvement in the death of the 3 individuals that were...
Shockingly, Thornburg admitted to the crime.
Thornburg described having an in-depth knowledge of the Bible and believed that he was being...
and revealed the chilling motive. Claiming an in-depth knowledge of the Bible, he said he believed he was called to perform sacrifices. But it gets darker. He confessed to eating the victims' hearts as part of the ritual. In court, he showed no emotion whatsoever.
Jason wants drugs, fornication, religious recognition, and blood. Mr. Thornburg, however you or anyone else might try to offer an excuse, you murdered, committed perverse acts, and desecrated the bodies of our loved ones because you wanted to.
I do believe, and it's my opinion, that you are a danger to society. And the only thing that you...
The victims' families demanded justice, the death penalty. The prosecutor agreed, leaving no room for leniency. Every eye in the courtroom was fixed on Thornburg, waiting to see if the ultimate punishment would finally be handed down.
He is a psychopath. He is evil. He is the type of evil...
Thornburg sat motionless. But the question remained, could he stay unshaken when the judge revealed his fate?
Jason Allen Thornburg, you have been adjudged by a jury to be guilty of capital murder, and the juror has answered the special issues, making it mandatory that your punishment be death. Therefore, this court sentences you, Jason Allen Thornburg, to death. This sentence shall be executed at any time after the hour of 6 p.m. on the day set for the execution by intravenous injection of a substance or substances in a lethal quantity sufficient to cause death.
Not even the death sentence rattled Thornburg. But for the next defendant, composure won't last long.
I claim I'm hurting people. There's nothing they can do about it.
Defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree.
I had no regrets in my...
This is Peter Abzinu, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder, robbery with a firearm, credit card fraud, and grand theft auto in Wilton Manors, Florida. On Christmas Day 2010, 38-year-old Abzinu arrived at his mother's home in a car she had never seen before, an unexpected visit that would soon spiral into tragedy.
He had done something that he needed to get away from.
Jeannie Abzinu tried to ask questions, but with each answer, the truth grew darker than she could have imagined.
I said, is the car stolen? And I said, you told me the car wasn't stolen, that your friend gave you this car. And he said, I lied. Told him that he was making me an accessory to whatever he had done.
She let it go at the time, But days later, when she glimpsed what he had been viewing on the computer, her blood ran cold.
What do you remember seeing on the streets? I saw that Peter's picture, the Saturn in the background, in front of a house, and it said that they were looking for Peter.
The screen displayed a chilling news story. 2 men had been shot to death in their home just days earlier, and her son was the prime suspect. She immediately called the police, and Peter Abzinu was swiftly arrested. Now, as the case reached the courtroom, his attorney presented a theory that would shock everyone.
He was hired as a dude and an escort, and whatever you want to call it. Mr. Powell.
His attorney argued that Abzinu, who had been trying to make extra money through illicit means, arrived at the house only to discover the couple already dead and fled in panic.
He was not living the lifestyle where he was going to pick up the phone and call the police. He was a survivor.
But would an innocent man steal the victim's SUV and max out their credit cards? And what about his own words? Would an innocent man really say that?
I had no regrets in my life, and I'm proud of every decision I've ever made. Nobody here knows what really happened that day. Everyone can speculate what ifs and maybes till they glue in the face.
But that wasn't the only shocking statement from Abzinu. In March,
Abzinu submitted a disturbing letter to the court where he called homosexuals a disgrace.
But Abzinu was about to face the...
No remorse. Still joking and laughing and just flat.
The jury found Abzinu guilty of the murders and recommended the death penalty. In a final act of defiance, he flipped them off. The judge upheld the recommendation, delivering justice in full, and it seems she made the right call.
Defendant is guilty of murder in the first.
Abzinu didn't act on impulse. He already had a plan for how he would carry it out.
I plan on hurting people. I wholeheartedly had nothing to lose.
He already had a plan for how he would carry it out.
But it's really easy to talk somebody into teaching them jiu-jitsu, putting them in a choke, and just holding on.
Abzinu's cold, unrepentant reaction only cemented the jury's verdict. But in the next case, the defendant seemed composed, until all control slipped away. Abzinu didn't act on impulse. He already had a plan for how he would carry it out.
We're going to do everything in our power that you never see.
This is Lonnie Franklin Jr., facing 10 counts of murder and multiple assault charges in Los Angeles, California. Beginning in the 1980s, women started disappearing from the streets, only to be found dead in alleyways. The killer left no trace until a sudden 14-year pause ended in 2002 with another victim found in the same way. Franklin earned the chilling nickname Grim Sleeper, and for years, police had no leads until now.
For decades, he eluded the police, but today I'm proud to announce that this terror has finally come to an...
Using cutting-edge technology, investigators turned to familial DNA analysis, a breakthrough method that finally led them to the elusive killer.
Yesterday, the LAPD arrested Lonnie David Franklin Jr., the man suspected of killing at least 10 young women in South Los Angeles in a series of murders that spanned from 1980.
After Franklin's son was arrested for an unrelated crime, investigators ran his DNA through the system, and it produced a partial match to the cold case files, ultimately leading police straight to Lonnie Franklin Jr.'s doorstep.
He is our man.
You are not
100%.
You are not 100%.
Even as investigators turned up the pressure during the interrogation, Franklin stayed composed and didn't fall for their tactics.
You have sex with them, you kill them, and then you dump their bodies in alleys throughout the city of Los Angeles.
When Franklin refused to confess, investigators decided to drop the bombshell.
It's like a dog pissing on a fire hydrant. That's you. You're leaving your mark every single time you do this. Well, now...
Even after the revelation, Franklin remained silent and refused to confess.
It's not me, my man. Sorry, it's not me.
Okay, then you tell me how all of your DNA got on every one of these gals.
The investigation had hit a dead end, but the officers left Franklin with a chilling warning he couldn't ignore.
We're going to do everything in our power that you never see the light of day outside of a prison again. Do you understand that?
After 2 decades of terror, Franklin finally faced trial. Even without a confession, the DNA evidence was damning. The tension peaked as the jury prepared to read their verdict.
Guilty of the crime of first-degree murder, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
Franklin was convicted on all 10 murder counts. The courtroom held its breath as the judge delivered the final sentence.
I've come to this conclusion, that it doesn't matter why. I can't think of anyone that I've encountered in all my many years in the criminal justice system that has committed the kind of monstrous and the number of monstrous crimes that you have. Lonnie Franklin Jr. for the first-degree murder of Deborah Jackson is alleged in count 1 and the special circumstance of multiple murder. It is the judgment and sentence of this court.
Franklin bolted from the courtroom. Applause justice was served for these 10 victims, but the case leaves a haunting question. Officers discovered photos of over 100 more women in his home, and their whereabouts remain unknown.
These are women probably in the final moments of their lives before they were killed by this alleged serial killer. Hopefully there's a good outcome.
In March 2020, Franklin died of natural causes in his prison cell, taking any remaining secrets with him. While he struggled to contain his emotions, the next defendant couldn't hold back at all the floodgates of reaction were about to open.
God, I'm sorry. Children, I love you. I hope I see your kids someday if I'm worthy to. I'm sorry.
And the murder of 5 children, 11 years of age or younger.
This is Timothy Jones Jr., facing 5 counts of murder in Lexington County, South Carolina. On August 28, 2014, he took his 5 children from school and daycare. Days later, their bodies were discovered abandoned in a field in Alabama 6 hours from their home. His arrest followed immediately, and what he told police would leave everyone stunned.
What did you tell us earlier? So, Natan was dead, and then what happened? And I followed suit with the other 4. And how did you kill that? Was with my hands. With your hands? Can you describe what you mean by with your hands? Around them.
He confessed to making his oldest son, Nathan, do an hour of physical exercise as punishment for lying. Shockingly, he then claimed that after finding Nathan dead, he went on to kill the rest of his children.
Did any of the other children say anything before you killed them? Gabriel said, I love you.
Jones broke down in tears, overwhelmed with shame for his horrific actions, but by then, it was far too late to undo the tragedy.
God, I'm sorry. Children, I love you. I hope I see your kids someday if I'm worthy to.
In the courtroom, Jones couldn't stop crying, and neither could his family, as the weight of the unimaginable tragedy settled over everyone present.
Live in hell? I don't know how to explain it.
That's Jones's father. After the tragic loss of his grandchildren, he removed his pool to try to cope with the painful memories. In court, he even went shirtless to reveal tattoos of the children on his back, a permanent tribute. Then the children's mother took the stand, adding another layer of heartbreak to the proceedings.
Sorry. And as a mother, if I could personally rip his face off, I would. That's the mom in me. That's the mama bear in me wanting to just make.
When asked whether she wanted Jones to receive the death penalty, the mother's response stunned everyone in the courtroom.
I can't bring myself to want anybody to die. That's something that I say because I have to be okay with what I say on this stand. This is something I have to live with.
She left the decision up to the jury, and this is the moment Jones learned their verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled case, have found beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following statutory aggravating circumstances and the murder of 5 children, 11 years of age or younger. Now recommend to the court that the defendant, Timothy R. Jones, Jr., be sentenced to death.
Jones couldn't contain his tears in court. But in the next case, the defendant, Aileen Worms, isn't sorrowful. She's seething with rage.
I know I was raped. You ain't nothing but a bunch of stuff. Putting somebody who was raped to death.
This is Aileen Worms, charged with 6 counts of murder and armed robbery in Florida. In the 1980s, Worms worked as a highway prostitute, but financial pressures, fueled by her girlfriend Tyra's spending addiction, pushed the pair toward deadly desperation.
She loved you, didn't she?
Yes.
She said she'd do anything for you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Worms began luring clients under the pretense of work. Once they were vulnerable, she killed them and robbed them.
And so learning how to be a hooker as a hitchhiker eventually got tiring. In the end, I carried the gun for protection, but then I got where I was getting a real problem. Our rent was due, $1,200 behind. Tyra was doing a lot of beer drinking and stuff. She wanted to go out all the time, so she was burning up the money I was making.
She insisted it was all for love, and Tyra was fully aware of her crimes.
We were sitting on the floor watching TV, and she just come out and said, "I have something to tell you." And I asked her what, and she said that she had shot and killed a man that day.
But when law enforcement closed in, Tyra betrayed her partner.
What the hell is going on? They've called. They've been up to my parents again. They've got my sister now asking her questions. I don't know what the hell's going on. Huh.
Tyra called her lover, attempting to trick her into confessing, not knowing police were listening in.
They're coming after me. I know they are. They've got to. Then why are they asking so many questions then? Okay. Don't worry. Okay.
Tyra called her lover, attempting to trick her into confessing, not knowing police were listening in.
And in order for her to say what you wanted her to, you lied. Right?
Yes.
It was in fact much more than a couple of times, wasn't it?
It could have been.
You were called to the death.
When Worms discovered the betrayal, something inside her snapped.
I got a big finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're an inhumane bunch of living bastards, and you're going to get nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming.
The sentence was handed down swiftly, but she did not take it well.
I sentence you to death for the murder of Charles Humphreys. I sentence you to death for the murder of David Spears.
Probably see, I'll be up in heaven while y'all rotting in hell.
You will handle that.
You get raped in the ass one of these days.
And if you think that was shocking, brace yourself. What comes next is even more chilling.
Your wife and kids get raped.
I would ask that you would point the defender's office.
I know I was raped. You ain't nothing but a bunch of stuff.
Therefore, these proceedings are now
Putting
concluded.
somebody who was raped to death.
Aileen Worms was executed on October 2nd, 2002, delivering her final words as her life came to an end.
And this is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Aileen Worms because she'll kill again.
While Worms died for her greed, nothing compares to Mark David Lutensky, a killer who murdered simply to find out how it tasted. Literally.
We just bought the things that he wanted. We made the agreement. I took his, I cut them out, and I took them upstairs and I ate them.
In a chilling twist, Mark David Lutensky faces charges for murder and body mutilation near Iosco, Michigan. In December 2019, he met 25-year-old Kevin Bacon through Grindr, setting the stage for a horrifying crime.
Sherlock County 911. I want to get away from some creepy guy. He had me tied up in his basement. I'm sorry, what's that? He's after me. Help me.
On Christmas Day, Lutensky's own husband dropped him off at his separate residence, unaware of the horrific events that were about to unfold during Lutensky's date with Bacon.
He never exhibited any signs that anything was wrong.
But things quickly went wrong. Days later, police discovered Bacon's mutilated remains hidden in a secret room of Lutensky's house. During Lutensky's interrogation, the situation immediately took a bizarre and disturbing turn.
Is my name Mark David Lutensky? No. My name is Edgar Thomas Hill.
Lutensky claimed he had been switched at birth and given a false identity. But if you think that's shocking, just wait. His account of the murder is even more disturbing.
I'm not going to force you to do anything. Right. This is you. Okay. And
so he puts the stuff on. You lock up his car to make sure all of his things
that everything is secure, so that nobody's going to come in and steal anything.
Right. I understand. So then you drive to your house. You get back. You get back to the house, and you guys go inside. When you get home to the house, is it just you two?
It's just us two.
Okay.
Lutensky shockingly claimed that everything was consensual, including the murder itself.
You don't know how many times I have, and it brings me to tears a little bit because, you talk to them and you realize how a person's life goes. But in talking to it, because I've never done this before. I have never done this before.
Okay, so what did you do?
We chatted for a while. He described the things that he wanted, and we made the agreement, and he was supposed to disappear, be gone.
So what was the agreement?
I would make his body disappear. And we talked about, several things. What was I going to do? And part of it was the process of turning, that what portions of his body couldn't be used or gotten. That there were certain things as far as turning his bones into bone meal and turning them into something that would...
Lutonsky revealed that Bacon himself allegedly asked him to slit his throat, but the horror didn't end there.
Doing what I needed to do to complete what I told him I would do. Turn him into something that would produce life. And that's what I was in the process of doing. I started to do what I told him I was going to do. I was going to eat part of him. And I did. It was the new moon, and honoring my word to what I said I would do.
Shockingly, Latunsky admitted to cannibalizing part of Bacon's body, and not just any part, the testicles.
On the kitchen stove.
The frying pan?
It was the griddle. I eat Rocky Mountain oysters anyway.
Disturbingly, he chose the testicles for a specific reason. He already had a recipe planned for them.
A carton of them that I had bought. So it's really very simple. You slice them thin, you saute them with some Worcestershire sauce, and once they're done, you just eat them. The other portions were going to be a jerky and the like.
Given Latunsky's confession and the overwhelming evidence, his attorney recommended that he plead guilty.
After Mr. Bacon was dead, did you remove part of his body, specifically his testicles?
Yes, I did.
Did you move those testicles to the kitchen?
This is the moment Mark David Latunsky faced the consequences of his crimes.
The most serious crime deserves the most serious sentence, that of life with no possibility of parole.
Mark David Latunsky avoided the death penalty, not by choice, but by law. Justice still comes, and these stories prove that every crime has a consequence. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see more shocking courtroom moments you won't believe.